know, one thing, if people have access to any kind of hydro training facility where you can get into water, um, that's very beneficial. They have treadmills underwater. There's certain programs you get into where you can do aerobics in water, and it's so much better, especially when you're working on compromised legs and things like that, and on arms and shoulders. If you can, that just assists you so much, and it's a good place if someone has access to something like that. Now, for example, if not, everyone has to work within the limits of what they have.
Well,
Yes.
in the good weather, you can actually do it outside in a community pool
There you go.
or whatever. I actually have a fair amount of experience with pool therapy. I guess because I got involved in it with one stroke survivor, and then I saw how beneficial it was, so I started taking other stroke survivors. The gym that I belong to is owned by the hospital system, and they have a warm pool. A lot of the aerobic stuff takes place in the cold pool, and
Oh,
if you can't keep up with it, you're gonna be cold if you're not moving good as a stroke survivor.
right.
Main thing I've done in the warm pool is walk people because you're more buoyant. You walk about up to your chest and to start, and then you can go shallower and shallower, and you weigh more. So people don't have to bear as much weight because they don't weigh as much. So the first thing you can start to get over is that quick uh, two-step hop where you don't put any weight on your affected side. Badoom,
Right.
badoom, walking like that. You're
Yeah.
laughing because you've um, heard yourself do that. And I've seen work in the pool seriously translate to benefits on the land.
Absolutely.
Um, and you can, the therapy pool that we go to has a chairlift. That's real nice because we get people to walk in, but we try and work them hard enough that we lift them out. And it's also got bars, stainless steel bars, so you can do like some stretching and things like that. And I didn't think about it much until somebody, one of the people I was working with, said something about trying something with his arm, and we tried stuff with his arm, and he could bend it a lot better in the pool. And then a week later, he was bending it better on the land. Um, so I'm a
Plus,
big believer in pool therapy. The problem is, where do you find one?
well,
And
that's the thing. If someone has access to it, the water is so much more conducive to carrying that blood flow. And again, with the buoyancy issue, you can raise your arm a heck of a lot higher if you're at about shoulder level in the water. You can bring that arm up there really good, and the uh, the effect of the water on the blood flow is immensely is immensely important.
well, plus it's real hard to get hurt. Um,
Hmm.
After
Yes.
I get some confidence working with somebody, I'll put out my hands and let them put their fingers in my hands. We start out with a aquatic gait belt basically, but unless you fall into the side of the pool, you're in the middle of the pool, you can't fall down very fast because the water, in addition to the buoyancy, has much more resistance
Yep.
than the air. So
That's
uh,
good if someone has access to something like that. That's real helpful in setting up their own personal therapy.
Yeah, that's a good point because I find that a lot of stroke survivors, some who I've spoken to struggle with walking. Here in Australia, some of them have a fear of falling when they walk, and so what they do is like I know this one stroke survivor. He actually had a pretty good recovery at the start, but he got complacent and he had a fall. And ever since he fell that first time, he got scared that it would fall again. So rather than walking the way he did before he fell, what he started to do was he started to drag his affected foot like a penguin, so he couldn't fall.
Hmm.
And so his walking just went downhill from there. And even though he went into the pool, it was the same thing. It was like a whole psychological thing. But I mean, I think the pool is good because if you do fail and if you do happen to fall, then obviously the consequences aren't going to be as bad as if you fell on, I guess, asphalt or like a laminate surface. And I guess the feedback that you get from the pool, you would be able to identify what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right a lot quicker.
Yeah, I only worry when people are near the edge, because you can fall into the edge of the pool. So I'm more careful when they're closer to the walls. But I also find that people can do things that they can't do on land, like we walk sideways.
Yeah, of course.
Sidestepping in both directions is really good, and most people have a lot of trouble with it on land, and you can do it and same people can do it a lot better in the pool.
Yeah, I mean on land you would need the parallel bars to obviously do sidestepping, but because you're working against gravity, it's a lot harder for some people, I would imagine.
Well, I kind of dance with them. I put my hands out, and they can grab on their hands, and then the point is to work towards just touching for brain.
Yeah.
Because what you're talking about, William. Fear is a big problem. But of course, if we could talk for 5 hours about plateauing. We could talk for 50 hours about fear and all the fear plays and overcoming it. But I guess we just kind of sidestep. It's almost like waltzing when you face the person and you do it hand to hand.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I only considered hydrotherapy once in my recovery, and then I ran it by my rehab specialist, which you guys would call in the States a psychiatrist, or is it called a physiatrist in the States? Yeah. So it's a doctor who knows a lot about rehab and all that stuff, right? So a physiatrist, right? So here in Australia, we call them a rehab doctor. And then she basically just told me that, the idea is good, but walking on land is better because the terrain and the hilly environment you're going to be walking through, they're going to be providing a lot of variability and challenge, which is going to help your brain to improve a lot more because there's always something new to navigate. Whereas with the pool, we weren't really amphibious before our stroke, so it doesn't.
I combined it. I didn't.
Yeah.
What I typically did was it was an extra day. I typically, when I work in person with somebody, I go over their house a couple days a week, 2 or 3 days a week. And so pool therapy was in addition to the 2 days. So I had this guy, Kevin, that I worked with for about 9 months. And the pool was just tremendously helpful for him. And we're back to fear a little bit. He wasn't very good. He couldn't get up and down steps. Coming out of his house, had 2 little brick steps everywhere he went. There was like a landing there and 2 steps down. And I don't know if it was just because he was afraid of him or he wasn't very good at navigating them. And so that was one of the things that we practiced. So we practiced walking on land. I got him to carry his cane and not use it, walk him on a gait belt.
Yeah.
He told me that he was carrying the cane for counterbalance. I said the only thing is counterbalancing is the fear in your brain because it's actually
Yeah.
unbalancing you. You know, if you think about it. Um, so you know, when I did the pool, it was always like in concert with other stuff. We did sit to stands, practice walking, practice going up and down the steps, and went to the pool and a few other things. But he got in a couple of months, he got to where I had to when going up and down the steps, I had to tell him to pay attention. He got so good at it, he'd like be looking the wrong way and talking to me while he's going down the steps, and I just don't think that's a good idea. I'm
Yeah.
safety focused myself.